I'm Ming from Tim and Tam Toys.
Perfect, great. We're consultants from McKinsey, so we'd love to help you
Nice
today.
to meet you. Oh,
Have a seat, please. Have a seat. So tell us, what's been happening with Tim and Tam's toys?
So, we're a toy manufacturing company based in Australia. This is what we produce.
Okay.
We used to be so popular in Australia, but with all the technology and all the new competition, we're trying to sign a deal with David Jones, but they rejected us. They say that our products are not innovative and they're not standing out from other brands. I don't know what's going on. And they even say something about competitive advantage.
Oh, okay.
Probably you guys will have a better understanding of the term. And recently, we're trying to cut costs so we can still maintain the operation of the brand. So we move our production overseas. But David Jones staff say our products look cheap. I need your help.
Alright, well, that sounds like a very, very serious problem.
Yes.
As a McKinsey consultant, we see tons of businesses with these kinds of issues, and one of the best ways to get around this is that we need to develop a strategy.
Strategy?
A strategy. Exactly. Tim and Tam's wanting to stand out from the market.
Yes,
Definitely. So far, they've been in the background as part of the rest of the competitors with all of the production happening overseas, but I think this needs to change.
Yes.
Does that sound like a plan?
So how can we do that?
Great. Now we'll just dive into the strategy and we'll explain exactly how this needs to be done. So one thing that's very important for Tim and Tam's business is to make sure that they have in place a strategy. So a strategy is very important because it's needed to make sure they can actually define the organisation. And this means it'll provide more meaning to all of their business activities. So that's the main important part. The second thing is that we need to be aware of the environment and having a good corporate social responsibility. So for us, the key focus of the business model for Tim and Tam's will be to make sure that we're operating within the law, being a good environmental steward, and also making sure that we're a good corporate citizen, mainly through ethical sourcing and making sure that the products are ethically sustainable. And then on top of this, we have to make sure that our stakeholders are also taken care of because they are obviously dependent on the outcomes of the business. So for Tim and Tam's, it'll be very important to make sure that we keep in mind our main stakeholders, which in this case would be customers, competition, like any competitors from competing brands, as well as suppliers and employees as well in the organisation.
So, before selecting our strategies for Tim and Tam, it's important for us to understand and analyze the external environment. For external environment, we consider our stakeholders, such as our investors, suppliers, our customers, and our employees. An external environment analysis is about SWOT analysis, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. When we consider about macro environment, we think about legislation and technology and ecology, and also geopolitical trends, demographics, and social values. And it's also important to understand a micro environment, such as the industry analysis, which involve our buyers and suppliers, and our competitors in the market. For our toys company, it is a red ocean strategy with some elements of the blue ocean strategy, which for us is competing in an existing market while trying to beat the competition and exploit the existing demand. Despite this, trying to create and capture new demand, aligning companies' activities with strategic choice of differentiation.
Tim and Tam is an organisation that's an incremental innovator, meaning that it's already competing in an existing market that's saturated with other toy developers and toy producers. So therefore there's an additional element of competition within our organisation or within our global community, so to speak, of other competitors, which does make it a bit difficult for us to stand out in that sense. But with that being said, it's necessary for us to consider our own organisational structure, what we're offering to the community and what our specific organisation is differentiating itself with. The necessity for different types of strategies is quite significant for Tim and Tams due to the fact that we're already competing within a saturated market. As opposed to being a cost leader, we're sort of going opposite to that. We're providing a more higher end form of toy products to the general public and in more particular to a more middle class to upper class market. So with that being said, as opposed to being a cost leader like other toy producers are, in the sense that they're producing cheaper toys at a faster rate, but they are of lesser quality, we're producing something of a higher quality, meaning that we've got a market that within as part of our organisation, that we're offering a higher end product for a higher price, but we're justifying it due to the facts of it being Australian sourced, due to the fact that it's being produced under higher standards and quality assurance.
So another thing that's very important for Tim and Tams, after conducting a SWOT analysis, we can tell that they will need to focus a lot on strengths, which include internal resources within the organisation. And because they're Australian based and based within Australia, they can source products and make sure that all of the key materials are environmentally friendly and Australian made. And this can be a strong point which they can then leverage off when marketing to the public. It's also very important to consider threats in the market. For instance, these are like external companies which could create knockoff products for the toys that are currently produced for Tim and Tams. And then this could be sold for a cheaper price in the market. So these companies could be cost leaders, and that's something to be wary of. So when dealing with this, it's important for Tim and Tams to use a reactive strategy, which is through a Porterian model where human resources are matched to the strategy of the organisation. That way, Tim and Tams can always ensure that all of the employees within the organisation are making sure that everything that they do is then contributing towards the main mission and vision. One thing that's very important for Tim and Tams is that they will need to recreate their whole vision statement and mission. And it's very important for an organisation to do this because they can then be perceived as unique in the marketplace. So one way to do this is also to switch from a more hierarchical organisational structure to a more flat organisational structure. That way, all the employees from different levels of the organisation can actually have their input and come up with a more creative way to make the organisation stand out and create an impact in the market.
There are a number of forces for change that impact greatly upon the overall efficiency and success of Tim and Tams. For example, adaptability, cost containment and control are some of our primary forces for change that we need to consider, meaning that we need to adapt to the existing market, but also bearing in mind what we've discussed prior, we need to differentiate ourselves to a great extent due to the market we're competing within. Also cost containment, despite the fact that we're producing a high quality product and we're marketing it to a high-end market, we need to consider our own costs in that sense. And because we want to source everything locally, there is an additional element of higher cost for materials and labour, which our competitors, such as other major toy producers, will not have. And overall, just control control of ourselves within the market. That is something that most organisations do have some difficulty maintaining, in the sense that it isn't always possible to control the market. With that being said, we need to try and position ourselves in quite a firm stance and to try and adapt to existing market changes. Reorientation of our identity and values and appealing to societal values and reacting to the market is quite a significant part of Tim and Tams as well. So with our overall message of sustainability and sourcing locally, we're already establishing the need for change and communicating that need, which is part of our marketing strategy. But repeating that message and maintaining that momentum during the launch and implementation phases and even the maintenance stages after the initial launch of our products or range of products is significant. And overcoming resistance to change. So existing even domestic buyers may totally dismiss the idea of Australian locally produced toys due to the fact that they're able to source toys at a cheaper price elsewhere from other competitors, being our own competitors. But we need to reinforce that message and provide the benefits of supporting our local suppliers, providing jobs within the local Australian industry as opposed to outsourcing continuously, which has become quite an issue in the modern Australian market.
In the future, it's potential for TM and TEM to consider about international expansion as well. So when we think about our internationalization strategy, we think it's potential to adopt a global strategy. Whereas our assets and capabilities will be centralized, and our overseas operations will be implementing our Australian parent company strategies. And the knowledge developed and also diffused from the center based in Australia. It's also important for Tim and Tam to assess the business risks if we spend overseas. For example, we are facing competition globally from some established, very successful brands. So we might be out-innovated by those competing brands who have a lot of resources and capital to innovate and invest in new product development. And also we're facing potential turbulence in overseas markets, such as changing interest rates, changing laws and regulations, as we covered in the external environmental analysis. And also we might potentially face changes in customers' preferences. And different customers from different countries might have different tastes, interests in our product. So as a brand, if we want to successfully establish our business overseas, we need to continue innovating and sustaining our competitive advantage as a premium Australian toy brand, so that we can keep our customers interested and continue our growth in the business.